Back at Wrigley Field, and here's Roger Craig's lineup tonight. Coming off the 11-3 victory in Game 1, Butler, Thompson, and Clark. Mitchell on the cleanup spot. Williams so vital in the fifth slot the last 2 months of the season. Terry Kennedy, nursing a sore shoulder, will nonetheless catch. Pat Sheridan, the former American leaguer, in right. Jose Uribe at short. And Russell to pitch, a pretty good hitting pitcher. Mike Bielecki went 18-7 with an ERA of 3.14, a no decision in his lone appearance against the Giants, a game in which he pitched pretty well, but Mitch Williams couldn't hold a lead for him. Prior to this year, he was knocking around between the Pittsburgh organization and the minors with a career mark of just 12-19. Came out of the spring maybe as their number 5 starter. Emerged as something close to an ace before all was said and done. Butler bounces it foul, and we're underway.
Became the ace, a fine pitcher for the Cubs, Bob, because of the development of a forkball down in winter ball in the Dominican Republic, on the Caribbean during the offseason. And Dick Pole has done wonders with Bielecki.
Butler thinks about a bunt and takes down and in. Maddox, of course, would be their ace, but Bielecki with 18 victories is close to that.
I talk about Bielecki being maybe the most consistent starter on the Cubs staff all year. Remember that Maddox started 1-5, but a lot of people around here with the Cubs organization feel that his consistency was the best on the staff.
Down low, 2-1. He won 18 and left 5 others with leads that Mitch Williams couldn't hold. Williams had 11 blown saves, 5 of them at Bielecki's expense. Otherwise, he could very well have been a 20-game winner. The 2-1 pitch to Butler. 3 balls and a strike. Both Butler and Thompson had 1 hit last night. They were on base a combined 4 times between them. And there's the walk. There were only 9 games all year where Butler and Thompson were each kept off base for the entire game. Not surprisingly, the Giants lost all 9. When the table setters do not get aboard, for Clark and Mitchell, it's a different story.
We talked about one of the keys for beating the Giants, if the Cubs are going to do it, is keeping the top 2 guys off of the bases. That doesn't change from Game 1 to Game 2. It's going to be true no matter how far this series goes. The Cubs want to win. They're going to have to keep Butler and Thompson off the bases.
Butler stole 31 this year. He was thrown out stealing, though, a rather high 16 times. So his percentage was only around 2 out of every 3, which isn't great. Not going as Thompson takes a ball.
Another thing to consider, too, the Giants have stole 87 bases during the year. You see Bill Fahey flashing the signs. 87 times they stole bases and thrown out 54. Well, Brett Butler, of the steal attempts that the Giants made, Butler made a third of them. He's out there a little bit farther now.
Bielecki has missed with 5 straight pitches. Make it 6. And Joe Girardi goes out there. And here comes Dick Pole, the pitching coach, to join the conference.
One thing Dick Pole has done with his young staff, he has really worked very closely with Greg Maddox and Mike Bielecki. He is really very vocal about what he wants done and how he wants it done on the mound. He wants Bielecki to get ahead. With the problem the Cubs had last night, they got behind hitters. Doesn't make any difference what level of baseball you play. You have to pitch ahead in the count or you're going to get killed. And you do it especially against guys like Will Clark and Kevin Mitchell. You're going to get pounded. You got to stay ahead of the hitters, and that's what Dick Pole's talking to him about. Listen, the free passes are going to kill you. You've got to throw strikes.
Clark and Mitchell waiting. And there's a called strike to Thompson. 2-1. Last night, the Giants threw 3 on the board in the first inning. The Cubs were able to strike back with 2 as Grace hit a home run. Then after Clark hit one to make it 4-2, Sandberg struck, so they were hanging with them until a disastrous 4th with the decision to pitch to Clark. Instead of bringing Assenmacher in, letting Maddox work to him, and Clark hit the grand slam. Close, but he got back.
Two pitchers today here in Wrigley Field with pretty good moves. Mike Bilecki, a good move to first, and Rick Rusho for the Giants, probably the best move by a right-hander in the National League. Boy, that was close. Good move by Bilecki. You can see that Butler wants to go to second base. Both these clubs will run, and they'll run at any time. Both managers very aggressive.
Wendell Kim is the Giant coach there. Bill Fahey, as Tom said, on the lines at third. Bilecki's 2-1 pitch. The runner not going, and Thompson fouls it into the seats. The plate umpire is Bruce Fremming. Terry Tata at first, Jim Quick at second, Charlie Williams at third, Randy Marsh down the left field line, and the crew chief, the National League senior umpire, Doug Harvey, down the right field line. Harvey worked the plate last night and would be behind the plate again if it goes 7.
Thompson strikes out a lot, 133 during the year, and if you're going to put the hit and run on, you do in a situation where you think he's going to get a fastball. And Butler might be a straight steal there. Roger Craig put the hit and run on when the count was 2-1. Now 2-2. Possibility of a breaking ball, yet with Butler at first. They'll protect against a steal.
Had him leaning and got him.
Good move by Bilecki. Couple of steps, and you can see that Brett Butler was on his way to second base. Both these managers very aggressive. They are not afraid to make aggressive mistakes.
Now Thompson lifts a pop-up, and Grace tucks it away for the second out. One more look at the pickoff, and you'll see Thompson's right shoulder. He makes the little move, and then he can't get back.
You can feel the emotion here at Wrigley Field, the people loving that out. A big out to kind of swing momentum maybe back to the Cubs side of the field. The one big out, of course, the Cubs did not get last night was when Maddox was facing Will Clark.
Here's a guy they haven't retired yet. 4 for 4 last night. Off-speed pitch inside.
A lot of people critical about Don Zimmer letting Maddox pitch against Will Clark last night with the bases loaded, and I disagree. Early in the game, your #1 pitcher on your ball club, just the 4th inning, I think you let him go after him.
The counter argument would be he'd already had 2 hits, one of them a home run off that pitcher.
Both on fastballs. There's a sequence of bad pitches to Clark in a sense that he got fastballs to hit all night long. Maddox was trying to come in on him last night, left the ball right out over the plate.
Ground ball foul.
And there you can see the difference of what a meeting with a pitching coach would do, that the off-speed pitch. Clark got a lot of fastballs to hit last night. Every base hit he had last night, fastball. There you see the scouting report. Long swing, a beautiful swing he does have. Don't be deceptive or think that it is a slow swing because it's a long swing. Once he gets that bat head to the hitting zone, he has great bat speed.
Outside 2-2. His 6 RBIs last night were the most in any postseason game since Bobby Richardson of the Yankees had 6 against the Pirates in Game 3 of the 1960 series, a series in which Richardson drove home a dozen. The 2-2 pitch. Full count with 2 out and nobody on. No score, top half of the first.
Be interesting here to see what the pitch is. 3-2. Last night 3-2. He got a fastball.
He spoils this one, and we'll do it all over again.
Well, what intensity he has. 9 innings, 27 outs. Well, he plays hard, every one of them.
He lays off and draws the second walk of the inning. Bilecki set to face Mitchell, who went 2 for 5 with a 3-run homer. You know, of course, about the league-leading homer and RBI totals. Broke his bat, rolls it meekly to second. Sandberg virtually never kicks one. He throws him out. And the Cubs are out of the top half of the first. They get their licks when we come back. Trying to get even. Zimmer goes with Walton, Sandberg, and Smith. Grace in the cleanup spot. Dawson in right. Late season pickup Luis Salazar at third. Dunston, who had a big year after the All-Star break. Big second half, is the shortstop. Joe Girardi will catch, and Bilecki the pitcher. Rick Russell characteristically in shirt sleeves in what is really a surprisingly comfortable night. Walton steps in and lines the first pitch to left. It drops for a hit. They shoehorned 39,000 in here last night, and after the early innings, they didn't have much chance to cheer. They're ready to erupt at any opportunity this evening.
Don't be surprised if you see the Cubs going up there swinging at the first pitch. Rick Russell likes to get ahead. He's an old-timer, and old-timers like to pitch ahead in the count. They like to get the first strike. Rick will come right at you. Maybe the best move in the National League to first base by a right-hander. Superb move. Only 8 stolen bases off him all year. It will negate somewhat Zimmer's running game. Instead of the straight steal, you might have a little bit more hit and run. Zim still has to do that. You just put it in a different form.
Inside to Sandberg. Runners don't even try. Only 16 attempts against Russell. Chuck Cottier, the third base coach. 8 successful attempts out of 16, and that's in 32 starts. Walton stole 24 this year. He's going, and Sandberg aims for the right field line, but it is slicing fair. Fair ball in the corner. A run will score. Sandberg heading for third. In with a triple. 1-0 Chicago.
Scouts will tell you that Rick Russell will let you know early if he's got it or doesn't have it. Both pitches, the single by Walton, the triple by Sandberg, up in the hitting zone. And Rick Russell doesn't have it. He gets hit hard early. You won't know it by his face. He's the same all the time. He's very stoic on the mound. But if he starts getting the ball up in the strike zone, seen 2 examples of it, 2 balls hit very hard.
0-1 to Dwight Smith. Russell from the stretch. Ahead of him 0-2. The ball by Sandberg went into the deep right field corner, whereas you watch from behind the plate, you lose sight of it with the naked eye. But of course, Doug Harvey on the right field line in perfect position to make the call of fair. Liner caught by Clark as Sandberg holds.
A little jam job by Dwight Smith, and they leave a runner at third base. Cubs were great at getting runners in. They left the fewest runners on base during the regular season. Rick Russell will fool you too. He'll pop the ball 90 miles an hour once in a while when he needs a strikeout. He can get it when he needs them. He may only have 5 or 6 of those fastballs during the entire game, and he'll save them for certain spots when he needs it. He threw one of those pitches right by Dwight Smith.
The infield in with Grace at the plate. He burns San Francisco pitching to the tune of 386 during the regular season, then went 3 for 4 with a homer last night. Another foul. Ryne Sandberg at third has hit for the cycle in the series now. He had a double homer and single last night and a triple here in the first. A ball and a strike.
You see a big sequence of fastballs from Rick Russell. Just changing speeds, not necessarily change up. He may go through an entire game and throw but 10 breaking balls and just vary the speeds on his fastball.
Breaking ball high and away, 2-1. This will get the run home and maybe more. Way back in right and off the ivy. At least a double. Grace is content with that. 2-0 Cubs.
These Cubs have been very resilient all year long. Best hitter consistently on their ball club. Mark Grace hit .314 during the year. Russell's pitches are very flat. Not much action at the hitting zone.
And Dawson launches one deep to left if it stays fair, but a foul ball. Man, they are crushing pitches off Rick Russell.
Dawson, 21 home runs during the regular season. You could see where that ball was. That right up by the letter C on his chest. Andre knew it was gone. There's no use wasting time running. You can go out, run those bases if it's fair.
On the changeup, he was out in front 0-2. Wasting no time. Roger Craig gets Kelly Downs up in the bullpen. Man, in these first two games in the National League Series, there's scarcely been time to settle in. 1-2. And he gets Andre swinging.
Talked about Russell saving a fastball here or there for a strikeout when he needs it. It's the same fastball that he threw right by Dwight Smith for the second strike in this same inning. They just change speeds. You have to protect against that pitch. Great changeup before it, set it up, and he threw it right by Dawson, who is a good fastball hitter.
Here's Salazar now, taking a strike. 282 for the year between San Diego and Chicago, but 325 with the Cubbies. Two runs home in the first. Line drive left field that could produce a third. Grace being waved in. No throw. 3-0 Chicago. Craig and Norm Sherry watching intently. 4 hits, 2 singles, a double, and a triple. All of them well hit, plus a loud foul from Dawson before he struck out.
That was the thing that really got the bullpen going, was a loud foul. The home run that Dawson just missed. The only thing you notice, nobody's gone to the mound for the Giants. Not with a veteran like Russell. You know what you're going to get. He doesn't need help mentally out there.
Dunston with another base hit. He may not need help mentally, but physically he might not be equal to the task tonight. Craig crossing the foul line, hasn't motioned for the bullpen yet, and now he does. Russell's earliest exit in any game this year. He had many great years in a Cub uniform, but he's the vanquished enemy tonight. Since World War II, only Ferguson Jenkins has more victories as a Cub than Rick Russell. Of his 211 career wins, 135 came for this team, but they treated him rudely tonight.
The hometown crowd really treated him very warmly, though. He was a big favorite here with the Cubs. And that was a warm round of applause. As soon as he left that mound, everybody got on their feet, and it was not jeers that Russell was hearing as he walked off. That was appreciation for the 10 years that he did spend here in a Cub uniform.
Kelly Downs' first hitter is the catcher Joe Girardi. 1-1 the count, 3 runs home, 2 men on, 5 base hits. Every hitter actually hit the ball hard against Russell because Dwight Smith lined out to Grace at first, and Dawson hit a 400-foot foul before striking out. 2-1. Three balls and a strike. Bilecki, the pitcher, next.
Downs with a good arm. You see Bilecki in the on-deck circle. Not a very good hitting pitcher. Bilecki's got a great arm. Girardi, a high fastball hitter. They count 3-1. Fastball situation.
Full count, and so the runners will take off.
He was sitting right on it. That wasn't a defensive swing you just saw. That was a 3-run home run swing.
Salazar from second, Dunston from first. There they go, and here it comes. Ball 4, they're loaded up. Five hits and a walk in the Chicago first. And a ball to Bilecki. Not much of a hitter, as you can tell.
2 of those 3 RBIs came on 2 squeeze bunts, too. You won't see it here with 2 outs. Well, Zimmer, you never know. They said Zimmer will do anything at any time.
By the way, Tom, do you happen to know?
No, I don't want to hear this.
You know the answer already,
don't you? I know
don't
it
you?
already. I don't want to hear this. I beat you to the punch here.
Well, we can't leave the public hanging. The last time, as the count goes to 2-1, that a Cub pitcher hit a grand slam, it came in 1972. Smiling Bert Hooton hit it off an unsmiling Tom Seaver.
You want to know where it hit? In the basket in left center. Didn't even go over the wall. Had to hit in the basket.
3-1. Craig sends Sherry out to the mound to try and set Kelly Downs straight.
Maybe he sees something physically that he's doing wrong. If he's pulling the left arm toward the dugout, slinging the ball. This is not Babe Ruth at home plate. Mike Bilecki, just 3 base hits all year long. And you go right after him. Oh, the ball right down the middle. Kelly Downs has a great arm. You can see his eyes right on the target. Good position. Good release. Maybe holding on to the ball just a tad too long.
In there with Bilecki taking all the way. And now Craig is trying to get Kennedy's attention. From the set, the runners go. Line drive, base hit. How do you figure this? 2 more runs. He's got to come in with a strike on 3-2. Go ahead, hit it. Bilecki says I will.
That is not a lesson for pitching ahead. Don't pitch behind in the count. Bilecki 70 times to the plate, 3 base hits all year.
Walton started the ruckus with a single. The Cubs jump on Russell and Downs with both feet in the first. Oh, and 2.
You see Zim's face? You think he looked like he knew he was ahead 5-0? Look, he hasn't changed the entire game.
Same as when it was 11-3 last night, I guess.
Exactly the same.
Meanwhile, he looks more like Lyndon Johnson every day. Broken bat hit softly into center. Butler charging, can't get there. The 7th hit and the 6th run.
Second single of the inning for Jerome Walton. He doesn't hit it well. Most of the base hits by the Chicago Cubs in this inning have been hit right on the nose. Not too many cheapies. A little broken bat flare, especially with a wet outfield. There is no way that Butler could get there.
Atlee Hammaker starts to heat up. Walton at first with his 2nd hit of the inning. Bilecki at 3rd. Sandberg, who tripled home the first run at the plate. Ball 1. Tom, as you said, all year long in a topsy-turvy divisional race, the Cubs had the facility to put tough losses behind them. Now, last night was tough, not so much because it could have gone either way. It wasn't close, but they were really pummeled. They come out with 6 of their own in the first.
Many times losing a ball game, it's easier to lose a ball game 11-3 than it is 2-1 or 3-2. Losing those 1-run ball games can really be killers. Sometimes you just get the tar knocked out of you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Probably the toughest loss of the year for the Cubs was on a Friday afternoon here with about 2 weeks to play in the season. They led the Cardinals 7-1. Cardinals came back and won the game. Pedro Guerrero had a late home run to the opposite field off Mitch Williams, and that brought the Cards to within a half game of first, and the next day the Cardinals led late. And the Cubs rallied. Salazar got the winning hit in extra innings, and they never looked back.
And they won the next day as well. They've had great resiliency all year long.
Here's the 2-0. Breaking ball doesn't swerve in quite far enough. Possible green light for Rhino. Ball 4. Now Dwight Smith is the 12th man to bat in the inning. 6 straight men have reached. Bouncing ball, Clark's got it. Puts a merciful end to it from San Francisco's perspective, but listen to him roar at Wrigley. On to the second. Williams, Kennedy, and Sheridan for the Giants, who lead the series 1-0, but trail here 6-0 after the first.
Can you imagine somebody that tuned in late and said, what? 6-0?
Yeah. Cubs throw a Stan Musial up on the board in the first. Williams breaks his bat. Dawson glides over. 1 down in the second. Mike Schmidt is alongside the Cub dugout. Let's go down to him.
I sure am, Bobby. I'm going to tell you something. This joint is jumping down here. I feel like I'm part of the Cubs team. I don't want to sound biased, but these guys are fired up. They were calm in the clubhouse before. I was with them in there, but they sure don't show signs of calmness out here right now. These guys are fired up. This joint is jumping down here, and I feel like I ought to be in uniform.
Terry Kennedy's turn. Breaking ball from Bielecki for a strike. Fremming inadvertently knocked the ball from Girardi's hand on the attempted return throw. Let's turn the page in the scout's notebook on Terry Kennedy.
He was an outstanding hitter when he was at the San Diego Padres. Good low fastball hitter. Hit the ball up the middle and bunch him in the outfield. Jerome Walton on the left field side of second base. You can see they give him the right center field alley. He used to be an outstanding alley hitter. He would go to left field a little bit more now than he did earlier in his career.
Called strike 2-2. Terry hit .239 for the year with 5 home runs. Well, on the opening you said the Cubs cannot fall behind early. I guess this fits the prescription.
Well, they've taken the running game away from Roger Craig. It's just the reverse of what happened last night. The thing about the San Francisco Giants is that they have the kind of club that can come back and get a 3-run home run. They can come back and get a couple of 2-run home runs. That's a big deficit, and that takes your running game away from you. You just can't run into outs.
Bielecki's pitch to the 4-time All-Star Terry Kennedy. Opposite field toward the line, and it drops in there. Smith can't get it. Kennedy's going to have a 1-out double. That's the first hit off Bielecki. He had walked 2 in the first.
Kennedy 16 doubles during the regular season. You can see him going down that left field line. Now, remember, we had a lot of rain here. Rain in Chicago all day. It's going to be very soft and slippery in the outfield. The infield is in great shape. Lou Beviel, the groundskeeper here, has kept the infield in terrific shape, but it's going to be very wet and very slippery. Balls are going to be very slick when they're hit to the outfield. As a result, the outfielders have to play a little bit deeper. They're going to concede a couple of steps so the ball doesn't get by you in the alleys. There you can see some of the puddles down along the warning track.
Sheridan was 2 for 4 in game 1. You remember the dramatic home run he hit 2 years ago in the playoffs for the Tigers. They had lost the first 2 games at Minnesota. He hit a home run late in game 3 at Tiger Stadium to win the game, but it turned out to be Detroit's only victory as the Twins upset them 4 games to 1. One and 2.
Good splitter by Mike Bielecki. Basically a 3-pitch pitcher. Fastball, a little somewhat of a slur. That's the half curve, half slider, and the split-fingered fastball. You can see it. A lot of down action on it at the hitting zone.
1-2 pitch fouled off. Sheridan also had a pinch hit home run for Kansas City against Toronto in the 1985 playoffs. So he's had some postseason success. Here's what the Cubs were looking at coming into tonight's game. In the long history of World Series play and since the League Championship Series went to a best-of-7 format, there have been 11 teams that have overcome 2-0 deficits to win. But only 2 teams have ever lost the first 2 games at home and rallied to win a 7-game series. The 1985 Royals did it against the Cardinals in the World Series. And the very next year, the Mets lost the first 2 at Shea to the Red Sox and came back to beat Boston. Struck him out.
Great pitch by Bilecki. One of the things that Dick Pole, the pitching coach, is trying to get Bilecki to do is throw the ball inside. That's a split finger fastball. Great down where you see that Sheridan goes right over the top of it. Great late movement on that pitch. One of the things that Dick Pole is trying to get Bilecki to do is establish that he will throw the ball inside. So many young pitchers want to keep the ball on the outside part of the plate and never establish inside where the hitter has to protect the inside part of the plate. You can see there's another pitch on the inside part. He wants to go into it. Here the slow-mo of the split finger, and you can see right at the hitting zone the great downward movement on the pitch. Sheridan right over the top of it.
With 2 out and a man at second, the pitch to Uribe.
One thing that the Cubs did not do well last night, I don't think Maddox did very well, did not establish inside. The kind of power that the Giants have, you can't let them dive out over the plate. And if you're going to throw the ball inside, you got to throw from the edge of the plate in. If you're going to make a mistake, you make it in toward the hitter, not out over the plate.
Down low, 2-1. Bilecki 18-7 for the year. Won 10 of his last 12 decisions. He'd been plagued by back problems the past couple of years and was made available for very little from the Pittsburgh organization, just a minor leaguer in exchange. Great deal by Jim Fry, as it turned out. Here's his 2-1 pitch.
One of the things about Bilecki when he was in the Pirate organization, he said originally when he was over there that he had great stuff. They thought he was going to be a great pitcher and a good view of an outstanding fastball. But he had those back problems and he kept them to himself. And they thought maybe it was just his arm that was deteriorating, but it was the back problems that was causing a lack of effectiveness.
The count is full. Kelly Downs, the pitcher, on deck. He is in the circle and he just took off the warm-up jacket. Hammaker had been throwing earlier. Let's see what happens if Uribe reaches. If they decide they don't want to go too deep into their bullpen and use up pitchers early, or if they decide that down 6-0 they can't relinquish any possibility and they send somebody to the bat rack. We'll never know. The 4th ball again for his 2nd strikeout of the inning, and we're back after these messages from your local station. Here's Dunston eyeing Terry Kennedy as Terry led away from second with 2 out. Then as the last batter strikes out, Zimmer counseling Dunston. Zim had told me earlier in the year, Tom, as we move on to the bottom of the 2nd and Grace takes a ball, that Dunston has a tendency to drift out of position at shortstop.
One of the things in that situation, Terry Kennedy is not going to be going to third. He does not have good speed. You look at Zimmer, you saw Don Zimmer, you saw him point the finger. I would guess, that's a guess, I would say he's pointing to the scoreboard. Look at score 6-0. Kennedy's not going to go anywhere. Play back, prevent the single.
Toward the hole, but to his left, Thompson, and he can't come up with it. Probably scored a hit. And if so, Grace's 5th of the series. Let's find out for sure about that Zimmer-Dunston conversation. Here's Mike Schmidt.
Well, Tommy was exactly right, Bob, when he said, when he was talking about Shawon. Shawon was bluffing Kennedy back, and with Uribe up and the outfielders playing shallow, he was disappointed that Shawon was giving up the bloop single over his head by bluffing Kennedy back. Like Tom said, Kennedy wasn't going to score on a short base hit anyway.
Thanks, Mike. A pitch outside to Dawson. who hooked one just foul down the left field line in his only at bat and then struck out. The last ball was scored a hit for Grace. Much is made about the greatness of Ryne Sandberg at second base, and rightly so, and his long errorless streak. But this guy, Robbie Thompson, made only 8 errors all year. Sandberg kicked 6. One and 2 to the Hawk. Here's another look at that play. Hits off the heel of his glove, and it's a play that Robbie has made in the past, but you can't score it an error.
I think you certainly expect Thompson to make that play, no question.
Second time Dawson has gone down on strikes. As Grace stands at first with 1 out, it's worth noting that the first baseman in this series are a combined 9 for 10. Grace is 5 for 6. Clark is 4 for 4 with a couple of walks. Grace has 1 homer. Clark has 2.
Down talking to Don Zimmer before the game, he was talking about Will Clark. He says, you know, it's all right if he makes an out. He said he only hit 333. You know, he's going to make some outs during the game. And then somebody else was in the room. They said, you know, somebody on the San Francisco Giants might say the same thing about Mark Grace. There's a pretty good first baseman right there, president of the National League, Bill White. He was a fine player for the Cardinals and the Phillies.
A called strike, 0-2 to Salazar. If you're just joining us, a couple of explanations. Most importantly, the Cubs got 6 in the last half of the first. Chased Rick Russell almost before he could break a sweat, if it's possible to perspire on a night like this. And secondly, Vin Scully has a sore throat. If it was at all possible for him to make it, you can bet Vinny would be up here. But reluctantly, he had to step aside. And this being an off day in the American League Series, I was able to fill in. Looked for a while as if it would be a moot point because we weren't sure if this game would be played. It was raining throughout the day. Stopped about 7 o'clock, 6:45, and the weatherman says no rain expected during the course of the game. So we should be home free. The runner goes. Salazar reaches out, pokes it toward the vacated spot, but Thompson gets back, and the throw is in time. Now the other man heading for third, and he's out. With the Cubs in front 6-0, Grace can afford to smile as he hands the helmet to Chuck Cottier. Will Clark alertly pegged it across the diamond for the out.
Is he something or what? I mean, he's on his toes all the time.
And we're back after this from your local station. Tom, a close play at third.
Terrific play by Will Clark at first, spinning and throwing over to Matt Williams. Williams blocked the bag. I don't think he ever got to the bag. The throw was late just by a fraction. The foot got there before the throw, before Williams could make the tag. But I think he had the bag was blocked. Great positioning by the third base umpire, Charlie Williams. Right onto, he had his nose right in there, right on top of it.
Kelly Downs does bat for himself to start the third. That's out of play, 1-2. This is a terrific play by 3 different Giants on the infield. Now judge for yourself. Watch Matt Williams' left foot, which is keeping Grace's left foot off the bag apparently, because Mark does arrive ahead of the tag bodily, but he never gets the foot in there.
Grace never argued. Cottier never argued. You can see him look up and he says, I thought the ball went through.
It was a good play by Thompson because he was breaking over to cover the bag as Grace was running on the 1-2 pitch to Salazar. The ball very nearly did get through, but Thompson reversed himself, went back to his left, gobbled it up, and threw to Clark. And then Clark, as you saw, didn't hesitate for a second. He whirled and pegged it across the diamond to Williams, who not only received the throw and slapped the tag down quickly, but blocked Grace off the bag. Downs hits one down toward Grace. Last year he made 17 errors, reduced that figure to half a dozen in 1989.
The count goes all the way to 3-2, and Kelly Downs, who only went to the plate 22 times all year, a good swing and hit that ball in a pretty good part of the bat. Remember Bilecki earlier in the game, he got to the count to 3-2, and even when a pitcher can go up there and hack at a 3-2 at a full count, you know it's going to be a fastball. You got a pretty good chance of making at least decent contact.
So here's Butler, who walked to start the game, but then on Bilecki's fourth throw over, he was picked off. A little looper, Sandberg back. Here's the scouting report on Robbie Thompson, who, as Tom noted, struck out 133 times. Now, for a guy who is supposed to be a good bat handler, number 2 hitter, the guy you can hit and run with, that's a very surprising figure.
He's a good bat handler, and you can hit and run with him if you get into a situation where you know he's going to get a fastball when he gets ahead in the count. A good power, led the National League in triples, good speed, but he does strike out a lot. A little unusual for a number 2 hitter to have that high strikeout ratio. What Roger's been able to do is to get him in the situation where he thinks he's going to get a fastball. You know what I love about some of these scouting reports? They say doesn't handle the slider down and away very well.
Who does?
I know. And not many that do. I think you're lucky if you be able to count them on one hand.
Well hit to center field. Walton turns, retreats to the track, leaps and makes the catch against the vines.
You can see Walton continues to drift and drift and drift. The wind here at Wrigley Field will play tricks with the ball.
Kelly Downs works to Shawon Dunston as we move to the bottom of the third. Let's watch Jerome Walton's catch off Robbie Thompson one more time.
Walton had a ball in a game last night right about the same place at this ballpark, and he missed it. He thought he had it last night. The wind blowing out, the ball would just continue to carry and carry and carry. The thing is for the defensive outfielders not to give up in the pursuit of the ball. They got to keep after it and after it after it, especially when the wind's blowing out. Another look from the camera down the left field line. He missed it last night, made it tonight.
2-2 to Dunston, who had a single in the first inning in which the Cubs sent 12 men to the plate, scored 6 runs, got 7 hits and 2 walks. Russell was chased, now it's Downs, and the count full to Shawon, who hit .278 for the year with 9 home runs. As you see, he stumbled out of the gate, began to heat up in June, caught fire around the All-Star break with the big July. Kennedy might have thought they had him struck out. He held the ball for a second, but Dunston has a leadoff walk. As you know, Tom, because you were here last night with Vin, the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise is piloted by Captain Drew Marshall, and it's based in Pompano Beach, Florida.
Did they go back last night?
I don't think those dirigibles can move that quickly. I don't think they can get home for a late snack.
Can't get home for dinner? Amazing thing about Dunston walking, because he just does not walk. In '88, he had only 8 unintentional walks. He's improving. He had 15 unintentional walks this year.
He's running on the first pitch. Here's a pitch out. The bat is thrown and nearly decapitates Downs, and Dunston is safe at second. Girardi doing what he had to do to try and disrupt Kennedy on the pitch out and maybe make some contact with it. And Downs had to chuck and duck.
Hitter's obligation to at least make an attempt on the ball. The Giants pitching out. Don Zimmer is going to run. He's going to try to add to his lead. You could see on the pitch of the delivery that even when Downs started to make his move toward home, he was still looking at first base, knowing that he was going to throw a pitch out.
Now the 1-0 to Girardi. A drive to right. Back goes Sheridan, still sailing back there, and he makes the catch at his hip on the warning track. Dunston retreats to tag. He was slow in doing so, but he gets there anyway.
But no outs like that, you think the ball's going to be caught, you go back and tag up. You can see Sheridan. Now remember the rain. The footing is not so sure in the outfield. It's very slippery. With 1 out, you're going to go about halfway. Well, Dunston with no outs had to go back and tag up. No outs, and you think the outfielder's got a good shot at the ball, you go back. So you get to third base with less than 2 outs. Now remember, Mike Bilecki, coming to the plate, already had 2 squeeze bunts during the season for Don Zimmer.
What is that, an oversized golf ball?
That's my fastball.
That's about what every
fast-
baseball looked like to Kevin Mitchell this summer, the guy who picked it up and threw it back in. Bilecki, an .043 hitter for the year, 3 hits and 70 at-bats, singled home 2 in the first. Infield in, and he swings and misses. (6-0) Chicago. We're in the third.
There is no playing it by the book for Don Zimmer. You can expect anything at any time. You may wait till 2 strikes for the squeeze. That step off comes from the bench, relayed to Kennedy. They're trying to pick up maybe an indication to see if possibly Bilecki turning around, might be squaring around. Is Dunston giving it away at third base?
A ball and a strike. Kennedy peering in at Craig. Dunston at third with 1 out. A safety squeeze. He bunts it out in front, and Dunston's going to be able. Now he's sprinting for the plate. He is out of there. He bluffed as though he was starting back. Downs made the throw to first to get Bilecki. Then Dunston broke for the plate, but Clark threw home to get him. Here it is again, the safety squeeze. Dunston dancing down the line. Now he holds, and Kennedy indicates to Downs throw to first. Then he breaks for the plate. Clark whips it home. No slide. And Kennedy, with the quick turnaround and tag, gets Dunston.
Bruce Fleming at home right on top of the play. Kennedy made a good play in a sense. He got his left shin guard back, and Dunston never got to the plate.
Here is Will Clark, who, regardless of the score, just keeps on smashing the ball. Another base hit for him. He hasn't been retired. He has 5 hits and 2 walks in 7 plate appearances.
5 hits and all on fastballs. Here another look from the perspective of third base. Dunston following Williams down the baseline as soon as he sees the throw by the pitcher to first base, trying to sneak in. And a good play by Kennedy behind the plate.
It's a read play by Dunston, and he was able to come relatively far down the line because, as you say, Williams is charging to defense the bunt, so there's nobody back there covering third.
He stayed just about even with Williams.
Mitchell lifts one to deep left center. This may get out of there, and it does. Almost to the back bleacher fence. Clark and Mitchell combined to dent Bilecki for a pair of runs, and it's 6-2. They're chanting, throw it back, which they haven't done yet. There may be one relative newcomer to the bleachers who doesn't understand the custom and wants to keep the souvenir. But if he's a decent Chicagoan, he's going to unleash it. For the moment, he or she prefers to remain a civic disgrace. 6-2. We're only in the fourth. Williams rips one, backhanded by Salazar. Watch the Mitchell home run one more time, Tom.
When you consider last night that the Giants got 11 RBIs out of the 3, 4, 5 position in their lineup. 11 RBIs out of the 3, 4, 5. Now here's 2 more in 2 games, 13 runs out of the 3, 4, 5 position. Man, 47 home runs during the regular season. You let him extend his arms, he's going to hit the ball hard.
Oh, 1 to Kennedy, who doubled to left, his only time up. A single by Clark, who has 5 hits in the series. A homer by Mitchell, who has 3 hits, 2 of them home runs. Ripped down the right field line, but foul into the bullpen.
Not much foul territory here at Wrigley Field. It'll be quite a change when we go to game number 3 in San Francisco. A vast amount of territory at Candlestick Park. You can see right down the left field line. I mean, that's just a matter of inches. Fair territory.
Fleming punches Kennedy out. 3rd strikeout for Bilecki. During the course of the year, the Giants hit at least 10 home runs against every other team in the National League except the Cubs. They only managed 5 homers against the Cubs. Clark didn't hit a single one. Mitchell hit 2. Well, they've got 4 home runs between them, Mitchell and Clark, in a game and a half so far.
I think they were saving up during the year.
Sheridan lofts one to right center field. Dawson and Walton, and it's the center fielder Walton for the catch. So Bilecki retires 3 in a row after the 2-run homer by Mitchell. The Giants stir in the 4th. Top of the order in the bottom of the 4th. Walton, Sandberg, and Smith. Jerome has a pair of singles and a great running, leaping catch in left center. The Giants following a familiar pattern to get on the scoreboard. A single by the league's 2nd leading hitter. And then a long home run to left center. Would have been out probably under any circumstances, but pushed almost to the back of the bleachers by the wind blowing out for Kevin Mitchell, who led the majors, of course, with 47. We still haven't seen the ball come back. Walton thinking about a bunt. This fella in the middle with the blue sweatshirt is apparently the culprit.
We are showing everybody in Chicago watching that's going to come out here.
Liner to center. Butler almost in his tracks, and Walton is retired for the first time. On Sunday, before a baseball doubleheader, NFL Live, 12:30 Eastern Time. O.J. Simpson reports on the developments this week surrounding the Raiders. Then the early games include Machine Gun Kelly and company at the Hoosier Dome against Eric Dickerson and the Colts. It's Kozar against Marino in Miami. Houston, New England, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. The Steelers have rebounded in the last couple of weeks, and these 2 games later in the day on NBC. Sandberg has tripled and walked. Pop to the right side. Clark for a look. Into the seats. But he went over because it's possible that the wind could have kept that one in.
Definitely the wind a factor. Wind will blow that ball right back to fair territory. In the game last night, Mark Grace lost a ball in that same area right over there. That is an anemometer wind gauge. they have here at Wrigley Field. Grace had a foul ball over there last night. Had to take his eye off the ball to look where that camera section is. Down the first baseline, just to the right of the Giant dugout. By the time he looked back up, he'd overrun the ball, fell right between Grace and Sandberg in foul territory.
Downs works 0-2 and misses inside. Last year, the Giants, I should say 1987, 2 years ago when they won the West, the Giants split the first 2 games of the playoffs in St. Louis. Called strike 3, and Sandberg's retired for the first time tonight. 2 down in the 4th. We'll pick up on that in a minute after we take a look at the 3rd strike.
You can see Downs, either the slider or fastball, cut fastball in the blown away corner, right where you just can't hit it. Ryan Sandberg, every base hit he has had in the series so far on a fastball. Same with Will Clark. He can hit a fastball from anybody.
0-2 to Smith, who made 2 of the 3 outs in the 6-run first. So in '87, the Giants split the first 2 in St. Louis. They go to Candlestick and win 2 out of 3, but then can't score a run. Whoa! Smith is sent sprawling. They can't score a run off Tudor and Cox in the 6th and 7th games in St. Louis, and they wind up losing the series in 7. So those who remember that, still on the roster from a couple of years ago, won't be satisfied coming out of here with a split. A message pitch or not?
A little message pitch that we will pitch inside. The Cubs already with 8 hits, 6 runs. They don't want hitters diving out over the plate. One of the most difficult things, especially the young pitchers, to try to get them to pitch inside. They're afraid of hurting somebody, afraid of hitting somebody. If you want to pitch in the outside part of the plate, you have to make sure that the hitter will know that you'll pitch inside, so he has to protect that part as well.
3-2 pitch, grounded foul. Another factor, not for all pitchers, but for those who played college ball, and an increasing number of major league players do have college experience, they let you use aluminum bats, and it's not as productive to jam hitters when they're using aluminum instead of wood. Very often you can get on their fists, but they still hit it with some authority, and you don't get the positive reinforcement for that pitch. Ground ball, fair, extra bases. Smith rounds first. Sheridan picks it up along the line. It's a 2-out double.
Here you see from our right field camera right down the line, just inside, Will Clark not guarding the baseline. Dwight Smith, 19 doubles during the regular season. Boy, Kelly Downs went way inside. He kept going and inside, going inside. Smith did not give an inch. Pull the ball right inside the bag, but take the bat right out of Mark Grace's hands.
The fans don't like it, but would any rational man or woman in America make a different decision? Dawson, a right-handed batter, has struck out twice. Grace hit .386 and drove in 12 runs in 12 games during the regular season against the Giants. He's 5 for 6 with a homer and a double, plus a walk so far.
A big hand for the Hawk, a real favorite here in Chicago.
This started in '87 when he was the MVP and hit the 49 homers, bowing as if in the direction of a holy man. Oh for 5 in the series to this point. And a called strike.
And one of the beautiful things in this game so far, in this series, the first 2 games, the intensity that you see in the eyes of Andre Dawson and the intensity that you see in the eyes of Will Clark.
Check swing foul, and he's behind on the count 0-2. He's the only man on either team to start both games and to be hitless at this point.
There you see the intensity of Dawson at the plate. A dead high fastball hitter, first ball fastball hitter. He does not walk much. He will go up there hacking.
And he has struck out all 3 times. Without any help from the Hawk, the Cubs lead 6-2. Looking to leave Wrigley and head for Candlestick with a split. The Cubs lead here 6-2. 6 in the last half of the first on 7 hits, as they dispatched Rick Russell rather rudely. Then a single by Clark and a homer by Mitchell in the 4th got the Giants back to within 4.
What a beautiful shot. That is a great shot of a beautiful ballpark. Many people thought when they put the lights here at Wrigley Field that it would spoil everything. They've protected the vista as we look out from behind home plate here out towards center field. You don't see any light standards, and the architecture that they've used on the lights is terrific. It goes right with the ballpark, and you really have not lost the flavor. You can see that's the way it looked forever, just like that.
A liner by Uribe and a base hit to open the 5th. Bilecki actually pitched the first official night game at Wrigley Field. Sutcliffe drew the honor on a Monday night. Remember, Phil Bradley hit the leadoff homer against him for the Phillies, but the game was washed out before it became an official game. And then the next night, Bilecki got the ball against the Mets. Nobody throwing in the Giant bullpen, although Hammaker got up briefly during the carnage in the 1st inning. So Downs comes up again, the 2nd time he's batted.
Roger Craig will take another run. Certainly Downs in the bunt situation.
He gets it down. Grace makes the play. He'll tag him. Successful sacrifice. Tomorrow is an off day in the National League. Travel to the West Coast. Tony Kubek and I will be at the Sky Dome in Toronto, and the Blue Jays will look to Jimmy Key to try and get them back into that series against Storm Davis. Oakland left their home park with an apparent stranglehold on it, ahead 2-0.
Well, they're playing like the 27 Yankees, aren't they? They're playing good all-around baseball, pitching, power, base running. How about Ricky Henderson? He's been dynamite.
Butler with a walk and a pop-up. And there's a little bit of controversy because after the game yesterday, Ernie Witt was sharply critical of Henderson, accusing him of hot-dogging and trying to rub it in by going in on a stolen base on which there was no throw standing up. And La Russa said, hey, why doesn't Ernie Witt try and make some sense? Those comments are foolish, said La Russa. So there's an undercurrent now in that series of resentment. And of course, the Blue Jays have a lot to be uncomfortable about, because not only have they lost the 2 games, but they have been soundly beaten. They did have the 3-1 lead behind Dave Stieb early in game 1, but after that they've been dominated by a team that was heavily favored to begin with. Double-barreled action now. The left-hander is Assenmacher. The right-hander is Les Lancaster. Bilecki has to get through this inning to qualify for the win, leading 6-2. And behind Butler 2-1.
The question is how long are you going to leave Bilecki in the sense of a 7-game series? He's going to pitch again. Most likely he would be pitching on the 4th day, just 3 days rest. The majority of the year the Cubs have been working on 4 days rest. They did go through a period where they worked on 3 days.
A strike to Butler, 2-2. Uribe at second with 1 down here in the 5th. Let's see what the scouts say about Brett Butler.
Good inside out hitter. Take the ball to left field. You could see last night's game, every time he got 2 strikes on him, he tried to hit the ball in the hole between Salazar and Dunston. Definitely just flat go to left field. Walton pretty deep in center field with 2 strikes, but they will play him around the left field and the outfield.
Those scouting reports put together by Steve Horn of our staff. They're a consensus of the opinions of several scouts around the league. 2-2 pitch is hit in the air to left. Dwight Smith wants it and has it. Down 6-0 at one point. The Giants trail 6-2 as they bat here in the 5th, and it's worth noting that they've had several stirring comebacks this year. The two most notable, they were trailing at Cincinnati on the 4th of September 8-0 and came back and won 9-8. Against the Dodgers on the 20th of September, they were down 7-0 and beat LA 8-7. So there's a precedent. More than one, to be sure.
What about the game when they got way behind? They took Will Clark out and put Mike Logge, and he had a couple of home runs. Championship teams will do that. Both the Cubs and Giants have done it all year long.
Thompson's 0 for 2, and that one came back and got the plate umpire Bruce Fremming. He'll shake it off.
The thing about the split-fingered fastball will go down. A lot of hitters will swing over the top of it or hit the top half of the ball. Bruce Fremming, a tough cookie. Good umpire in the National League. He is a fine umpire.
1 on, 2 out, top of the 5th. Bilecki's 0-1 pitch. Misses. We mentioned the Giant comebacks. The Cubs have done it too. Earlier we were talking about the game against the Astros, where they trail what, 10-0 here late in the season and came back to win. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Cubs won in some amazing ways too. Doubled in extra innings by Les Lancaster.
That was against the Giants.
Grand slam home run by Mitch Williams. They did it in all kinds of ways.
Girardi with the signs, and Bilecki can't find one he wants. And now they're going to talk it over. The game you mentioned where Lancaster got the hit in extra innings was probably the best of the 12 games during the regular season between these two teams. The Cubs were down 3-0 here in the 9th against Steve Bedrosian. They tied it with 3 runs on 4 hits and an error, and then Zimmer let that man Lancaster bat in the 11th with 2 out, and he delivered an RBI double off Randy McCammon. They split the 12 games head-to-head, 3-3 in each part. Cubs trying to get out of here with a split now in the LCS. Jammed him and he fouls it off. Will Clark on deck. Two and two.
The Giants struck out more than any other team in the National League, well over 1,000 times. 2, 3, 4 hitters in their lineup. Thompson, Clark, and Mitchell all each with over 100 strikeouts. Thompson with 133.
That was Bilecki's 75th pitch. We're in the 5th.
Kind of the slurve down and away. Thompson has to protect any ball, of course, that looked like it's going to be in the strike zone. You have to protect with 2 strikes.
Full count to Robbie. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He's 1 for 7 in the series.
Don't want to manufacture problems. As we talked about before, you've got to keep the 1 and 2 hitters for the Giants off the bases.
There's a major problem in the on-deck circle if he loses Thompson.
3 and 4 will kill you. They killed him last night.
Bilecki has the one he wants. Another 3-2 pitch. He walked him. Here's the grand slam as Zimmer walks to the mound. Zim let Maddox pitch to this man in the 4th inning with the bases loaded last night, after Clark already had 2 hits against Maddox, one of them a home run. And let's watch and listen to what happened on that occasion. He wants the ball right now. Now Zimmer's going to do what he didn't do last night. He wants Assenmacher. Ahead on the count, 1-2 Bilecki, disgusted with himself as he eventually lost Robbie Thompson and lost a chance at the victory. He worked just 4 2/3. He can't qualify for the win. And Zimmer is not going to play with fire 2 nights in a row. Bilecki's out, Assenmacher's in, but here's something that might have entered into Zimmer's decision to stick with Maddox last night. Clark is 6 for 10 lifetime against Assenmacher, even though the pitcher has the lefty-lefty percentage seemingly in his favor.
Well, Bilecki had good reason to be upset, walking Thompson on a 3-2 pitch. Especially with a 4-run lead.
Here we go. First pitch. This will be the first time they've retired him. Grace does it alone. Zimmer explaining his thinking to Bilecki. And you can't argue with the results. Still 6-2 Cubbies. Kelly Downs still in there, as he has been since the first. Salazar faces him and takes a ball low. He'll be followed by Dunston and Girardi. Last half of the 5th. 6-2 Chicago. All 6 runs in the first. Sutcliffe, the Game 3 starter at Candlestick, and now it appears a virtual certainty that he'll be opposed by Mike Lacasse rather than Don Robinson. Two and 1 to Salazar, who had a huge first half last year with the Tigers, cooled off a bit after the All-Star break, traded to San Diego. Then he and Marvell Wynn were swapped over here just before the deadline to be eligible for postseason play. He falls away from it, but Fleming calls it a strike.
Jimmy Fry made some key trades here for the Chicago Cubs over the winter. The Mitch Williams trades, when we look at a replay of the last pitch when he traded Rafael Palmeiro to the Texas Rangers and picked up Mitch Williams, which really changed the entire complexion of the Chicago Cub ball club. He had such a horrendous bullpen in '88. They got a closer in Williams, and the ball club all of a sudden felt that they could win if they were ahead.
Sheridan in right field. Another reminder, Sunday afternoon before baseball at 12:30 Eastern Time, NFL Live. OJ out in Los Angeles this week talking with Art Shell, the new Raider coach, first black head coach in the modern history of the league. He'll have a report, then it's followed by those games plus a couple later in the day on NBC. Dunston has a single, a walk, and a stolen base. Matt Williams in close at third. He backs up a step after the first strike. Line to right center field. Sheridan going back. Wynn pushing it out, and Sheridan backhands it just in front of the doorway.
Good play by Pat Sheridan in right field. You can run out of real estate very quickly in the alleys here at Wrigley Field. The condition in the outfield with the rain, it's very slippery. The footing not exactly sure. You can see Sheridan just checking the warning track to make sure. And after that warning track, it's Ivy. Also a couple of steel doors out there that you can run into. There's a batting cage underneath those right field bleachers that the hitters were using before the game today. In the rain, they didn't hit on the field, of course.
368 into the alleys, 400 to dead center, deeper down the lines than in the newer cookie cutter parks. 355 to left, 353 to right.
I like that. Cookie cutter parks?
This, ladies and gentlemen, is a real ballpark. Not a multi-purpose stadium, not an assembly line job. Kelly Downs makes very quick work of the Cubs in the last half of the fifth, sets them down in order. It remains a 6-2 game, and we're coming back. Assenmacher, who threw one pitch after relieving Bilecki, and got Clark to bounce out to Grace to end a threat in the fifth, will face Mitchell, Williams, and Kennedy. You know, last night, Zimmer in the post-game press conference said, I went to the mound and I asked Maddox the right questions. I said, how do you feel? He said, fine. I said, can you get him out? He said, yes. I left him in. I don't think he really asked Bilecki very many questions other than, does a shower appeal to you? I mean, once burned, twice smart.
He made the move before he even got to the pitching mound. I don't think Zimmer's happy seeing Kevin Mitchell walk up there leading off the inning, as opposed to maybe hitting fourth or fifth in this inning. It's this giant ball club. You are not out of the woods when you're up just by 4.
You know, you look at Mitchell's numbers, and any way you slice them, they're fantastic. But the one that's overlooked, everybody talks about the 47 homers, the 125 RBIs, major league leading figures, the 1-1 pitch to him. But he slugged .635. I mean, we're talking about in the range of the lifetime slugging percentage of Ted Williams. The second highest guy in the league was Howard Johnson of the Mets, who slugged .559, which is good enough to lead the league in most years. Two and two.
He wants to swing the bat against the left-hander. Amazing you think about the lack of success that Mitchell and Clark have had against the Cubs this year. And the playoffs are ripping it up.
Bilecki broke his bat, getting in on him and getting him to roll to second to end the first. But then he took Bilecki deep in the fourth to the bleachers in left center.
You can see the grimace on Mitchell. And after the home run, he came back to the dugout, and we didn't know if it was something that on a high five, maybe he strained his elbow. He was throwing okay when he wound up for defense, but he touching his right elbow as if in the swing he's having some pain of some sort. There you can see his hand came right off of it there.
I think that got a Cubby retreating into the dugout.
His right hand came right off the bat there. He swung, got the bat to the ball, and just swung left-handed. Here you see the swing. Now watch the right hand come off. See the right hand just come right off the bat. He strained something in that right elbow.
And he hangs in there at 2-2. Now here's the shot from our director Andy Rosenberg. This is after the home run. See him flexing that arm and holding the elbow. Another 2-2 pitch. It bounds off the catcher Girardi, and Mitchell stays alive. We mentioned director Andy Rosenberg. This fine replay is courtesy of producer John Filippelli, who's very anxious for those primetime mentions. Another 2-2 pitch. Broken bat. Looks like it'll drop in front of the charging Walton, and there's the second hit of the night for Mitchell. Maybe they should be happy to hold him to a single. He had 19 home runs and 171 at-bats against left-handed pitching this year. That's one every 9 at-bats. That's a Ruthian clip.
Actually, he had a pretty good pitch. Looked like Ossenmacher got the ball in on him, broke his bat. Just don't want to allow Mitchell to extend the arms. Extremely strong. A good low ball hitter. When he extends down into the strike zone, he hit a long way. Ball he hit out last night out of here off of Steve Wilson. Absolutely a rocket. I mean, if the wind had been blowing in, it wouldn't have made a difference. It had gone right through it. He hit a rocket out of here. Pitch down in the strike zone. Extend those arms, and he just absolutely crushed it.
1-1 to Williams, who hit just .202, but with 18 home runs. He started the year very slowly. They optioned him back out to Phoenix. He hit like a house on fire there, well over 300. They called him back, and believe it or not, since August 1st, he out-homered both Mitchell and Clark. He led the team with 16 homers and 44 RBIs in the last 2 months. And here's a bullet to left for a hit. Mitchell with a big turn holds at second. And the Giants have something shaking here in the 6th. 2 on, nobody out.
Not out of the woods against the Giants when you're ahead just by 4 runs. At least you've gotten through the heart of the lineup. That pitch up in the strike zone.
Now Terry Kennedy, the catcher and a left-handed hitter, is the scheduled batter. He's gone back into the dugout. That's Pat Sheridan, who would be the next hitter after the pinch hitter, whoever that might be. It's Bill Baith coming out. Kennedy had only 39 at-bats during the year against lefties and hit 154 with 6 base hits.
And this will most likely force the hand of Don Zimmer. Yep, and here he comes. Not going to waste any time. As soon as Bath is announced, Zim's coming out. He's going to talk to Bruce Freeman and probably make a double switch. Pitcher scheduled to lead off for the Cubs in the bottom of the 6th inning. So he will flip him around.
So Lancaster's going to come in. Ossenmacher's finished, and we step aside for just a minute. On Zimmer's double switch, Law's the new third baseman. Salazar's out. Law bats ninth. He'll be the leadoff man in the last half of the 6th. The new pitcher, Les Lancaster, hits in Salazar's vacated spot, and that would be the 6th slot. The Giants with back-to-back singles from Mitchell and Williams to open the 6th. What a key man Williams has been. Candy Maldonado had the big year in the division-winning season of '87. Wasn't doing anything out of that number 5 slot, and there were a lot of opportunities for an RBI man in that slot. And now Williams has established himself. And in addition to Clark and Mitchell, they've got a dangerous right-handed bat in the 5th slot.
Roger Craig, of course, is going to counter the right-hander and send up Ken Oberkfell. Both managers getting deeply involved here. Critical outs for the Cubs to get.
The well-traveled veteran Oberkfell takes a strike. Lancaster did not allow the Giants a run in 8 2/3 against them this year. He had a victory and a save against San Francisco. Obi lines one to center. Walton drifts back to the edge of the track to tuck it away. Mitchell tags. So too does the runner from first. He's in there at second. An aggressive play by Williams. It was a given that Mitchell would advance to third. But Williams tagged at first, eyeing the ball all the way. He knew there was no chance that it would be a hit. Walton had it lined up. And Williams sprints for second and barely makes it with the headlong dive.
Again, the wind playing a factor. Simply on a play of going first to second, how does it happen? Walton cannot get far enough behind the ball. He has to keep backtracking, and not catch the ball coming in toward the infield. That's what allows Williams to get to second base. Here you see the tail end of the play. Had Walton been coming toward the infield, he'd been able to make a much stronger throw. Williams has not run well. They're playing good aggressive baseball. That's the way that Roger Craig wants his ball club to play.
1-1 to Sheridan. He struck out. He's flied to center. Craig will have to use Kurt Manwaring behind the plate now. Gives up Baith as an announced pinch hitter. One and two to Sheridan, who was 2 for 4 in game 1.
You wonder how deep Roger Craig will go here. He's getting down to the bottom of the lineup. Jose Uribe on deck. Ernie Riles has come out into the on-deck circle. He's going to try and score in this inning. Hopefully score big.
Inside 2-2. The Giants with runners at second and third, 1 out, trailing 6-2, top half of the 6th. Mitchell singled, Williams singled. That chased Assenmacher. In comes Lancaster. Oberkfell advances both runners with a long fly to center. The 2-2 pitch. Oh, it just missed.
Usually about 4 or 5 outs in a ball game that you have to get to win. Cubs got one last inning when they got Will Clark to ground out to first. Pitch sinking out of the strike zone. Sheridan has a good eye.
And he spoils that one. You saw the way Girardi caught the previous pitch. He tried to caress it upwards to impress Bruce Fleming that it might have been in the strike zone, might have been at the knees.
These 2 outs very important for the Cubs. One, you got to recognize those extremely important outs to get and then go get them. That's how you win ball games.
Struck him out with some high heat.
Sheridan, a low fastball hitter. Lancaster goes upstairs and throws the ball right by him. Good fastball. Right over the top. You can see him attacking up in that hitting zone. Big out for Les Lancaster.
Riles now bats for Uribe and takes strike 1. Two on, 2 out. Still 6-2. Riles with a drive to center. Walton's got it. Lancaster extricates them from the jam. Downs stays in to work one more inning, due to be the leadoff man in the 7th. Manwaring is the new catcher. He'll hit 8th. Oberkfell stays in the game, plays 3rd, and remains in the 6th spot in the order. And Matt Williams moves from 3rd to shortstop. It'll be Vance Law here in the last half of the 6th. He came in for Salazar on the double switch a moment ago. This is not meant as a criticism at all, Tom. It's just the nature of the game. If San Francisco had broken through in the last inning, people would have second-guessed Zimmer for not opening the inning with Lancaster against 2 dangerous right-handed batters, Mitchell and Williams. Instead, he left the left-hander Assenmacher in there. They each singled, and then the call went out for Lancaster, and in the end, the Giants didn't score anyway. But that's the kind of heat that Zimmer, Craig, and every other big league manager is used to taking.
What Zimmer wanted to do was save Lancaster in case he had to face Williams later in the game, in the last couple of innings.
The second guess doesn't have to be right for it to be made. No. I mean, it comes with the territory
Don
in a
Zimmer
big way.
doesn't care about the second guess either. says, I manage by my own book so I can sleep at night. Vance Law was a regular third baseman for most of the season for the Cubs, but he slumped terribly, and that's when Jimmy Fry went out and got Luis Salazar. Salazar stepped right in, hit over 300 for the Cubs.
Law is a strikeout victim. He had a big year, a career year in many respects in 1988, but as you say, Tom, Vance fell off this year.
His father in the stands tonight, Vernon Law, the great right-hander for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
1960 Cy Young Award winner for the world champion Bucks.
And the grandson of Vernon Law was there today too. I know one thing, he's going to have a good arm. Vance Law has an outstanding throwing arm.
Walton bids for his third hit and has it. Three singles for the guy who's a virtual lock to be the National League Rookie of the Year.
Funny situation here at the ballpark. You're probably going to have the number 1 and 2 Rookie of the Years in the Rookie of the Year voting, and Walton and Smith, both in the Cubs, you probably have 1 and 2, and MVP probably from the San Francisco Giants, and Mitchell and Clark. They got Pedro Guerrero. Would you take a look at the third hit by Jerome Walton? Now, what a find that Zimmer came up with when he came up with Walton and Smith, 2 kids out of the minor leagues, and both of them have just played up a storm for the Cubs.
Years ago, it was almost off limits to run with a lead like this. That's no longer the case around baseball, and especially not with a manager like Zimmer. He'll run in any situation. Walton stole 24 during the regular year.
Certainly you can run here because the San Francisco Giants are still within 1 swing of the bat of tying the game up. You get a game like last night, yes, you might stop running.
A strike to Sandberg, who has 4 hits in the series, a single, a double, a triple, and a home run. The triple came tonight in the first inning. He's also walked and struck out in this game.
If this game, excuse me, Bob, goes on to be a 6-2 contest, a lot of people are going to overlook the job that Kelly Downs has done. The relief of Rick Russell coming into the first inning. He's just been super.
You read my mind. When he came in, it was already 3-0, and he wasn't immediately effective. He walked Girardi and then grooved a 3-2 pitch to Bilecki with the bases loaded. He lined it to center to make it 5-0, and the next 2 guys reached also. So the first 4 guys he faced, 2 singles, 2 walks, but since then he shut the Cubs down. Oh, 0-2 to Sandberg. He probably won't get many first place votes, but he's likely to finish in the top 5 in the MVP balloting.
Mitchell, Clark, Guerrero. Mitchell, Guerrero, Clark.
One or the other, yeah. Guerrero hit over 400 and then in scoring position.
In case of fans that do not know, the voting for MVP, Rookie of the Year, Cy Young Award, all those votes have to be into the Baseball Writers Association of America before postseason play starts.
Howard Johnson of the Mets, probably somewhere in the top 5. Walton not going. The 0-2 pitch taken down and away.
There's going to be an interesting vote as Cy Young Award in the National League.
You know who I'd vote for? Mark Davis.
Davis.
It's not often that you give it to a reliever, but he was impeccable. And Mike Scott had a great year,
right?
But not the dominating kind of year he's had in the past. At 86, for example, blew too many saves. Exciting.
What did he mean? Valuable. What did he mean to that ball club?
But you know, that's
Amazing.
interesting too, the definition of the awards.
Right.
MVP value supposedly enters into it, even though it's nebulous as to how much
Cy Young
you should weigh
Award.
that in. Cy Young seems to be,
Supposedly the best pitcher
purely on performance.
in the league. There you see Mitch Williams, the left-handed reliever for the Cubs. It'll be interesting.
Saberhagen, of course, a mortal lock in the American League. It might be unanimous. But in the National League, there'll be some controversy. Looked like Joe McGrain of the Cardinals had a great shot, cruising toward a 20-win season. But he bogged down at 18. One out, one on. Bottom of the 6th. 6-2 Cubs and the 1-2 pitch to Sandberg. Pitch out. Walton's not going anywhere.
Both these managers, you expect to see a lot of pitch outs, trying to negate the running game. I heard you guys and Tony talking the other day about the hand on the pipe as a sign that Roger Craig used it in Detroit.
Full count. You buy that as a possibility, that something as simple as that could have been the tip-off, at least for part of the year, until the enemy got wise?
Definitely can be for at least part of the year. May it be a total decoy. It could be flashed by somebody else on the bench. Norm Sherry on the phone to the bullpen. And there will be action down there.
The runner goes. It's ball 4. Craig Lefferts getting ready. That's the 5th walk that Downs has given up since coming into the game in the 1st.
Last time on after an 0-2 count too.
Clark trotting in from first now, and Manwaring out from behind the plate. We got a left-handed batter, a left-handed pitcher, Lefferts, getting warm. The pitcher's spot is the first one due in the top half of the 7th. And Craig has already used several bench players. Now here he comes. Think about the roller coaster he has ridden in his career, and he is going to make a move here. In many cases, he's shared the same car on the roller coaster with Zimmer. They were each on the world champion '55 Brooklyn Dodgers. They were each with the laughable original Mets. They've each managed bad ball clubs. They've each been on the coaching staffs of division winners. Here comes Lefferts. Is he anxious to get here? Craig, hold on. We got to do a commercial. You're going to have some time. We'll be back. Double switch by Roger Craig. Donnell Nixon in to right field. He'll be the leadoff man in the next inning, occupying the 9th spot. And trying to keep his team within striking distance, he goes to Craig Lefferts out of the bullpen to face Dwight Smith, who swings and misses. Dwight Smith had only 29 at-bats against lefties all year, hit around 250, 7 hits. We're in the 6th. Cubs trying to add to a 6-2 lead. 1 out and 2 on. A ball and a strike.
Lefferts was a left-handed saver for Roger Craig. Out of the bullpen, 20 saves, most of them early in the season. He's had a sore shoulder the last half of the season. Took about a week off. Said his shoulder felt a lot better. He was up a little bit in the bullpen last night when the lead got real big. Roger sent him back down exactly for this situation.
2-1. Lefferts, of course, hits in Sheridan's spot, so the pitcher now occupies the 7th slot, with Nixon going in for Sheridan in right field. 3-1. The Cubs, of course, with great speed now on the bases. Walton at second, Sandberg at first.
Williams and Thompson really jockeying with Jerome Walton at second base, trying to keep him close to the bag. If he can shorten him up just a step, might be out at home on a single.
The bases are loaded. And who are they loaded for? Mr. Mark Grace. 5 for 6 in the series with a walk. 2 for 2 tonight. A double in this game. A homer in last night's opening loss for the Cubs. Now let's see what the infield does. Halfway in the middle, a bit closer at the corners. And ball one.
There you see the scouting report on Mark Grace. He will pull the ball at times against the left-hander. You got to look for him to go the other way. Brett Butler playing on the left field side of second base.
The 1-0 pitch to the Cub cleanup hitter. Ripped down the right field line, in there. It'll clear the bases possibly. 2 runs are home. They're waving home the third man. It's 9-2 Chicago.
Two fine players in this league emerging as young stars, Mark Grace and Will Clark. Grace with his 3rd hit of the ball game cleans the bases. Boy, some kind of hitting. Will Clark broke the game open yesterday in the 4th inning, a grand slam home run. Here, a 3-run double.
He's 6 for 7 in the series, half of his hits for extra bases. And he has 6 RBIs, 3 for 4 last night, 3 for 3 tonight. Even though Dawson has struck out all 3 times, they walk him intentionally now. Because the pitcher with all the maneuvers is the next hitter due. That's Lancaster. Last night it was Don Zimmer's moves or non-moves that backfired at times. Tonight, the dice have turned cold on Roger Craig. He went for Lefferts against the lefties, Smith and Grace. He lost Smith on the walk, and Grace burned him. Inside the Lancaster, whom the Giants remember well as a hitter. He won that extra inning game here in July at Wrigley with the surprise double down the left field line off McCammon. Well, he saw his fellow relief pitcher Mitch Williams hit a grand slam home run a few weeks ago against the Mets for his first big league hit, and he took dead aim on Waveland Avenue here.
All right, those pitchers don't like to go up for singles, do they? Extra base hits. Think extra base hits.
Still only 1 out. And Zimmer still wearing the same expression.
Zim playing it by his own book, too. 1st and 2nd, 1 out, pitcher up. He's letting them swing away. Again, you never know. You can put the bunt on at any time. Clark was in all the way up to 2 strikes, guarding for the bunt at first base. Oberkfell is very deep at 3rd.
hangs in there, 2-2.
No sign from Chuck Cartier at third. Noticeable sign anyway. He looked down at his hitter and simply clapped his hands. Because the bunt could be strictly the way he's facing. You never know.
He'll make Lefferts work again. 6 in the first, 3 here in the 6th for the Cubs. 2 giant runs in the 4th on Mitchell's 2nd homer of the series. 9-2 Cubs. Finally, he goes down swinging. Manwaring didn't hold it, but then Lancaster realizes with first base occupied and less than 2 outs, he can't make a break for it. Later tonight on NBC, following your late local news in most parts of the country, The Tonight Show. Let's see who's on Letterman. Oh, they don't tell us here. I'm sure it'll be hysterical. I'm sure there will be a top 10 list. And then it's later. Viewers on the West Coast, stay tuned for the Cosby Show because of the time difference. I know who's on my show. It's Leslie Nielsen. You ever see the Naked Gun and Police Squad and Airplane? He's hysterical.
Funny man, isn't he?
Yeah. Letterman's guests are Jane Curtin and Chris Elliott. Who knows in what disguise for Chris. Here's a blast to left center field, but he got it off the end of the bat. And Mitchell's going to come over and get it. So Dunston is retired. The Amazing Grace tacks on 3 more. Back after this from your local station. Wrigley Field, a much happier place 24 hours after Game 1. Cubs appear to be on their way toward evening the issue, leading 9-2. Donnell Nixon, the new right fielder, the first batter against Lancaster in the 7th. Smith started back, now comes in. 1 out.
Seventh inning with Lancaster pitching. I think somewhere along here we're going to see Mitch Williams. He hasn't pitched since last Saturday. He got up and did some throwing in the bullpen last night. He was out there warming up left fielder Dwight Smith before this inning to get some throwing in. Especially with the off day tomorrow, you think Zim would like to get him some work, if nothing else, to keep him sharp. Here he is between innings, warming the left fielder up just to get himself a little activity. Hasn't pitched since Saturday. Just bullpen work last night. Well, I would not be surprised if we didn't see Mitch for at least an inning.
Butler the hitter. 2-1 the count. He's walked, popped to second, flied to left. One for 6 with 2 walks in the series. 3-1.
Vance lost way in at third base. Is still protecting against the bunt. And Brett Butler, they did that in the first inning of the first game. Zim is taking the bunt right away from Brett Butler. So we are not going to give it to you. And then with 2 strikes, Law's gone back even with the bag. Here he is, still even in front of the bag with 2 strikes.
Hit to the opposite field, and Smith is right there. Folks, on Saturday, NBC's boxing tour returns to Sports World when Tony the Tiger Lopez, the IBF junior lightweight champion, battles John Molina in a rematch of last year's very controversial fight. Last October, Lopez survived a surprising knockdown, recovered to take a close decision and retain the title. Molina is back and ready to wage war. That's what it says here. Well, I hope it's half as exciting as this copy reads. Saturday, 4 Eastern Time. Thompson 0 for 2 with a walk. In there from Lancaster, 0-2. Will Clark on deck. (9-2) Chicago in the 7th.
Zimmer got great relief help from two guys in his bullpen, Jeff Pico and Les Lancaster, his setup men. They did a super job for setting up Mitch Williams.
Looks like that one will make the seats. The guy at the plate, Robbie Thompson, was signed originally as an amateur player by Tom Zimmer, Don Zimmer's son, who's been a longtime scout for the Giants. Full count. The endless intertwining of baseball fates. People's paths cross in the most unexpected places. We told you about Craig and Zimmer, the longtime friends, teammates with the Dodgers and the Mets. Bouncing ball toward the hole. Dunston has a great arm. He plants and throws. What a dandy.
Maybe the best arm in the game of baseball. John Dunston, flat-footed, all the way on the line.
Jeff Brantley out of the bullpen. Joe Girardi up to the plate. Fouls it back for strike one. Brantley with the glittering one-loss record, the so-so ERA. Right field, Donnell Nixon's first chance. As you watch the play that Dunston made a moment ago to end the top half of the 7th, listen to his first baseman, Mark Grace, talk about Shawon.
It feels like facing Nolan Ryan, the best fastball, except at least I don't have to hit it. I can just try and catch it. Shawon's got an unbelievable gift in that arm, and when it's a close play, he lets me have it every time.
Can he get it across the diamond? He is a thing of beauty to watch. A big favorite here at Wrigley Field. They get the Shawon-o-meter. He is really developing into the one of the bright stars of this game. He's getting better defensively. He's getting better offensively. A little bit more patient all the time. A little bit more consistent.
1-0 to Law, who struck out his only time since coming into the game. 4 great shortstops to watch in the playoffs, and each with a distinctly different style. You've got Uribe for the Giants. You've got Dunston here with the cannon arm. Fernandez with those quick flip throws for Toronto. And Walt Weiss, who was terrific last year as a rookie for Oakland, but has been hampered by a knee injury, so we're not seeing him at his best. And in fact, he's splitting time with Mike Gallego for Tony La Russa at shortstop. But 4 of the game's best defensively. Tomorrow night is game 3 in the American League. Storm Davis for Oakland. He won 19 this year. Jimmy Key, who was 13 and 14, goes for the Blue Jays, but it's misleading. When his arm was bothering him, he lost 7 consecutive decisions. Toward the end of the year, he was pitching pretty well. Law strikes out for the 2nd time.
Vance has just struggled offensively all year long. I'll tell you what, from a defensive standpoint, when you get Dunston and Vance Law on the same side of the infield, you've got 2 of the best arms in the game.
Walton has 3 hits, plus a terrific play in center. Talking about the American League, You know, when Don Zimmer managed the Padres in the early 70s, in 1972, just before the arrival of Dave Winfield, who was then a college player at Minnesota, who do you think his right fielder was? Cito Gaston. Now the manager of the Blue Jays. A possible World Series meeting, but each would have to rally. Cubs appear to have done that to even it at 1. Toronto's task much larger, but they do have the next 3 at the Sky Dome, and they will be roaring there tomorrow night, no question about it.
Going against maybe the deepest, best pitching staff in baseball, the staff that La Russa and Dave Duncan have put together in Oakland. They manage it beautifully. Great starting pitching, good middle relief. Eckersley in the bullpen. Everybody has a defined role. And La Russa and Duncan work and manage that bullpen absolutely perfectly.
Dr. Bobby Brown and the American League office have already decided that the dome will be closed tomorrow night for Game 3. He lays off a full count, and with the roof closed, the Jays are 10-0 at home this year. It'll probably be open for the early afternoon game on Saturday and then closed again for the late afternoon game on Sunday. The payoff. Hit hard and just foul. Charlie Williams right on the play.
How long has it taken to close that roof?
Only about 25 minutes. Happens just like that. In fact, if it's not raining terribly hard, they can play through a drizzle and close the roof while the game is in progress. Another foul. And you got to give the designers of the Sky Dome their due. It is an awesome facility, state of the art. But this is Wrigley Field. This is a whole different deal you're looking at right here.
A little bit more history here. There's a little bit more tradition.
This is going to inspire poets.
What a shot that is.
So a walk for Walton now. With 2 out in the 7th. He's been on base 4 out of 5 trips.
Ain't 2 pitch up and in. Apparently got some work in last night. Throwing very hard tonight.
You won't find a movie theater or a Hard Rock Cafe or a luxury hotel or a miniature golf course or the world's largest scoreboard at Wrigley Field.
Got everything up there, don't they?
Sky Dome
Hotel.
boasts just about everything.
I understand they're giving away those luxury boxes too up there. Is that right?
Yeah, if you've got about $2 million plus the cost of a ticket for every event during the year, not just the ball games, the tractor pulls and everything else, well, you've got a wonderful luxury box. Would you rather have that, or would you rather this gets away? The ball was not tipped, gets by Manwaring, and Walton goes down to second. Would you rather have that, or would you rather perch yourself on a rooftop on Waveland or Sheffield?
Here you can see the pitch again from Brantley. Fastball up and away. Sandberg loves to swing at fastballs. Inside, outside, high, low. Makes no difference. He's a dead fastball hitter.
Sandberg's tripled, walked twice, struck out. That rolls foul. The first 2 spots in the Cub order, Walton and Sandberg, have been on 7 times. Butler and Thompson, the top 2 for the Giants, reached base twice, but Butler was picked off after walking to open the game. The 1-2 pitch. Bouncing ball to third. Here's Oberkfell. Throws him out on the high hopper. No runs, no hits, a walk. A man is left. 7 complete at Wrigley. 9-2 Chicago. There's a fellow with a net just in case. Although it might require Paul Bunyan to get it there. He's all the way across Waveland on a rooftop. 500 feet plus from home plate. Clark, Mitchell, and Williams. The heart of the order in the 8th, but 7 runs down.
Clark pointing to left field. There's a ball that has been thrown from somewhere, a big one. Run down by Dwight Smith. Talked about it earlier. Mitchell led off the 6th inning. Now here Clark leading off the 8th.
When he gets himself into one of those grooves, you might say the same thing of him that Jim Fry, the Cub GM, once said of George Brett when he was managing him during that .390 season in Kansas City. He could hit buckshot with barbed wire. Back to Lancaster. For the 2nd time in a row, they retire Clark. So heading toward a victory on the scoreboard, and maybe a moral victory in holding Clark, relatively speaking, in check tonight. He's had a walk and a single.
The off-speed pitch, Clark out in front of it. He was right on the fastball. First pitch from Lancaster. This is the off-speed pitch. Goes down and away from Clark. One of the things you have to do against a hitter who has tremendous bat speed, the way Clark does, the way Mitchell does, is try to slow the bat down. Talked about Will Clark that when the bat head gets into the hitting zone, he has tremendous acceleration, tremendous bat speed. What you try to do is slow the bat down if you can, throwing off-speed pitches. Make the hitter slow the bat down.
Dawson sprinting over, but Andre can't get there. It's another hit for Mitchell. He's got a homer and 2 singles tonight. He has 5 hits in 9 at-bats in the series. 2 of them home runs. Here's Matt Williams, who started the game at 3rd, then moved to shortstop when they pinch hit for Uribe. And a ball to him. For those of you just joining us, tomorrow an off day in the National League Series. Had the rain persisted, they would have played this game 2 here early tomorrow afternoon. Swing and a miss, 1-1. But it stopped raining about an hour before game time, and actually has been a relatively pleasant night.
And a beautiful night in Chicago.
And very pleasant for the 39,000 or so crammed into Wrigley Field. They made their statement early, 6 in the last half of the 1st. Rick Russell was battered. They tacked on a few more against Kelly Downs. In the air, center field, Walton going back, wind blowing out, looking up at the ivy. She's gone. Throw it back, they're chanting. Let's see if the guy in the brown jacket unleashes it. Attaboy. It's painful to give up the souvenir, but he did what any right-thinking Chicagoan would do.
A look at the swing of Matt Williams, strong right-hander. He filled in that number 5 spot in the Giant lineup. Something they look for all year, somebody to hit behind Mitchell. A great job defensively, offensively. Giant organization waiting for that young man to blossom. 2 more runs for the Giants, and all of their production out of that 3-4-5 spot of their lineup. Clark, Mitchell, and Williams.
They have 15 runs in the series, all 15 RBIs belonging to the 3 guys you mentioned. Oberkfell punches it foul. A pair of 2-run homers tonight. Mitchell in the 4th, Williams here in the 8th.
How big does that double by Mark Grace become right now?
Yep, Lefferts' failure to keep things in order.
Huge.
When he came in to face 2 left-handed batters and walked Smith, and then Grace cleared the bases with the double. Otherwise, it could be a close game. Sandberg calls and retires Oberkfell. The pitcher's slot is due. That's Mark Grace, who in total now has more than matched Will Clark. Greg Litton will be the pinch hitter, reserve infielder. Of course, when you speculate about what might have happened had something else not occurred earlier in a baseball game, it's always chancy because the pitching patterns would have been different. Ahead 9-2, Lancaster was less apt to nibble against Matt Williams. He gave him something he could drive, and Williams did.
You pitch a little bit differently when you do have a big lead. Big lead meaning you've got 5, 6, or 7-run lead.
Hit sharply. Dunston can't get this one. It's a pinch hit for Litton. 3rd hit of the inning off Lancaster.
Here you see the quickness of Dunston, who almost gets to the ball. Rest assured, if he'd gotten his hands on it, he'd been able to throw somebody out at first base. 2 fine shortstops in the city of Chicago. Ozzie Guillen over with the Chicago White Sox, and John Dunston here, both of them about the same age. Maturing into maybe the best shortstops in their respective leagues. As they gain maturity, Mitch Williams gets up and begins to throw in the Cub bullpen.
Manwaring with a shot to left center field. White Smith has it. 2 runs on 3 hits. The big one, the Matt Williams home run. But the Cubs still have a comfortable lead. As we go to the last of the 8th, a reminder, this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. An inning of work for Steve Bedrosian, their closer. Too big a lead last night, too big a deficit tonight for him to come in a clutch situation.
But you want to keep them sharp. Give them enough work, especially with the off day tomorrow. 1 inning of work.
Oh, 2 to Smith, who made 2 outs in the 6-run first, and since then has doubled and walked.
Don't know if we're going to see Mitch Williams in the bottom of the inning. Looks like Scotty Sanderson throwing in the Cub bullpen.
One more at bat for Mark Grace. He's waiting next. He has 2 doubles, a single, and a walk tonight. He's knocked home 4, 6 overall in the series.
He's worked extremely hard on his defense. One of the things he was very embarrassed about, talking about Mark Grace, is that his defense last year was so poor. He and Joe Altobelli worked extremely hard on his glove work.
That's the 2nd time they've knocked Smith down tonight. If it was intentional,
Smith's move
either
is right
time
out.
you'd have to say to yourself, why would Smith be the target?
Smith, you can see his first move, he goes out over the plate. Trying to go out over the plate. The only way he's going to get out of the way of the ball is to hit the deck. He's not striding at the pitcher. He's taking his body out over the plate.
Right center field, Donnell Nixon has it lined up. Let's go back to Mark Grace's last time at bat with the bases loaded, and it was still a 6-2 game at that point. Lefferts the pitcher. Let's look and listen. Ripped down the right field line, in there. It'll clear the bases possibly. 2 runs are home. They're waving home the third man. It's 9-2 Chicago. Back live, Bedrosian works to him. Grace was a sweet swinger from the start, hit over 300 as a rookie, but he's kicked his power game up a notch this year. He hit only 7 homers last year, and none of them at Wrigley Field. This year he had 13 home runs, and 8 of them were in this ballpark. Plus his gap power has increased. In this series he has a homer and 2 doubles. 6 for 7 with 6 RBIs, and he's found time to mix in a stolen base too.
Last night the Giants were pitching him away, playing him away, feeling that he couldn't hit the ball out the left field. The win here at Wrigley, promptly hit it right in the bleachers and left just like that, going to left field. Amazing thing about Mark Grace. Hit 300, one of the 5 in the National League this year to hit over 300. Good RBI total. 88 walks, only 42 strikeouts.
There's one though.
Very rare. Not very often you see a guy that has almost twice as many walks as strikeouts.
Especially in the 70s and 80s. An appreciative round of applause though from the fans behind the Chicago dugout.
And especially a young player, just 25 years old.
Well, here's Dawson, who's done nothing but walk and strike out tonight. 3 Ks and an intentional walk. Squibs 1 foul.
Just not going to take. He knows what he's going to get too. Off Bedrosian to get something hard. You can see Dawson, the notorious first ball hitter.
Oh, 0-2 to Andre. Really struggled the first half of the year or more. Began to hit toward the end, wound up with 21 homers, 77 RBIs, but only a .252 average. Lifts this one a mile high. Right side of the infield, Thompson and Clark, and it's Robbie. Bedrosian works a very tidy 8th. Last lick's coming up for San Fran. The announced attendance at Wrigley Field identical to last night, 39,195.
Not very many have left either.
They want to savor every moment.
I think they also certainly want to give their hometown ball club a hand when they come off. Conceivably, could be the last game of the year for the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley Field, one way or the other.
If somebody sweeps at Candlestick, if not, they'll come back for Game 6. Off day for these clubs tomorrow. Saturday afternoon on NBC from Candlestick Park. Sutcliffe for sure for Chicago. Lacasse almost certainly for the Giants. Lots of throat spray, plenty of hot tea and lemon, and Vin Scully should be ready to go for Game 3. I'll be back with Tony Kubek from the Sky Dome tomorrow night. It's great to work with you, Tom. I really enjoyed it on short notice.
You know, at the end of the baseball package, I'm afraid that maybe we would not be able to work it out. It has been very enjoyable, Robert.
Donnell Nixon fouls it back. It's like being a volunteer fireman. The only thing missing was the trap door and sliding down the pole. Racing out when the emergency call came. I was languishing around my hotel room in Toronto.
And got stuck in traffic.
Stuck in traffic on the way to Wrigley. Just some added suspense. Called strike 3. Nixon thought he had the walk. Fleming says no, make a right turn and sit down.
Lancaster busted him hard inside. Outstanding fastball. Nixon backing away. There's just no way he could hit it. Knew it was a strike, and hopefully heading for first base and get a decoy call from Bruce Fleming, but it didn't work.
A ball high to Butler. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NBC's baseball coverage and the producer of tonight's game is John J. Filippelli. Directed by Andy Rosenberg. Replay producers Tom Roy and Bucky Guntz. Technical director Marilyn Altman. Facilities technical director Ken Harvey. And our thanks to Elliot Kalb in the booth. Two and one to Butler, with Law practically inside his shirt, creeping in from third. Tried to slap it by him, fouls it off. 2-2.
Nine to 4, and Van Slow right up on top of it. Moved back to the bag here with 2 strikes. It's not a given. You're getting toward the middle of the San Francisco lineup. Remember, they're explosive. You can't take anything for granted.
Pokes it to left. Smith right there. 3 straight times. Butler has tried to go to the opposite field. He kicks at the bag at first in disgust. And 3 straight times, Smith has scarcely had to move to make the catch. $39,195, and they're all up. Lancaster is the pitcher of record because Bielecki lasted just 4 2/3, didn't qualify for the win. The W will go to Les. The loser is Russell, a distant memory, pummeled out of there in short order in the first. The 1-1 pitch. Will Clark awaiting one more chance. Stands in the on-deck circle, but there are 2 out, nobody on here in the ninth. 3-1 to Thompson.
2 out, nobody on, and Mitch Williams in the Cub bullpen. Is he there for Will Clark or just getting work?
Thompson takes strike 2. Robbie's 0 for 3 with a walk. Robbed of a hit on a stunning play by Dunston from the hole as last time. Here it comes. And there's a liner into the corner, foul.
You see the ball hooking just foul at the very last minute. Actually right around Mitch Williams. Matt Williams, or excuse me, Thompson with the right hand rolling over, just hooked it into foul territory. Couldn't keep it fair.
The fans will tell you. Thompson makes a bid for a home run. He'll forestall the celebration. Robbie Thompson sends a laser beam into the seats in left center. A wicked line drive home run. The 3rd homer of the game for San Francisco.
Talking about Thompson being a dead high ball fastball hitter here, 3-2. His club way behind. He can simply just sit on the fastball and gets it right down the middle. Mitch Williams kicking at the dirt down in the bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. He wants to come in this game. He wants to come in and face Will Clark. Sim's not going to do it.
The The ball just came back. So 2 out of 3 Giant homers were rejected by the fans in left center. The first one, hit by Mitchell, was kept. The 1-0 pitch to left field. Smith there, and he has to leap to make the catch as he misjudged it. But for the Cub fans, all's well that ends well.